We haven't filmed in a bit. I mean, we filmed a few times this week, but it wasn't necessarily for this channel. But we're back, and it is currently Saturday. So as you can clearly tell, I'm in a new outfit, and you can also see that I have a head strap on now. In August, I essentially got this permanent head strap, or needed this permanent head strap, but because I had a beanie or a hat on, I couldn't put the head strap on. But thankfully now I can, so here it is. Here's the bad boy head strap that you're seeing as of currently. It is permanent, and unfortunately I do have a headrest in my wheelchair, but we've tried several times, even months before the permanent head strap was due to be on. We just couldn't make one work like Donnie's chair did, unfortunately. So, a couple of things that we wanted to talk about today. One of them being that we've had a few bad habits, but we're changing them, and we're doing really well. We will discuss that in a minute. Hello everyone, welcome to the video. So, essentially the first thing that we wanted to talk about was how I've had a few new changes and how I've had a few new surgical process changes. The reason why I want to talk about this is because everyone knows I have ALS at this point, because I mention it every single month, if not every 2 months. So I do have ALS, and that is essentially a progressive disease that has no cure, and it'll eventually make you lose all your functions, your breathing, your eating, your walking, your talking, everything within 4 years or less. And with that comes changes, and I've had several. I've had new joysticks, I've had new buttons, I've had a talking device, I've had a head strap, I've had a peg, I've had a ventilator. So I've had a few big changes in the past few months, especially the last 6 or 7. Since December, I feel like those changes have been more prevalent due to the fact that I have bulbar ALS, and I don't think we've ever explained this in a video because we recently found out. I said I have a slow progressing type, and what I was meaning slow was my limbs, not my head or tongue or eating or neck. I have bulbar, which affects your head, your neck, your tongue, your eating, and those are the first things that went away first. In December, I needed a permanent ventilator, which I was only like 6 or 7 months into my diagnosis at that time. And then in June, on June 20th, I believe, I got a permanent peg tube due to the fact I could not eat. I was hardly a year into my diagnosis. And then in July, I choked. And then in August, I needed a permanent head strap. In that time frame within May to August was really bad. I needed so much more accommodations. We even got my talker in by my 1 year? Like 4 to 3 equipment just came in the last few months. I'm doing okay. I've been doing alright for pretty much September, October, and November. I haven't had much ALS issues because I kind of have nothing else to lose besides my limbs. My first symptoms started with my breathing, so I kind of had symptoms in January of 2024, and within that time I think I lost 18% breathing by May. And I only had 28 breathing. I could cough up things, I could go through surgery, just fine, monthly surgery, in fact, just fine. That was in 2023. And in January, I started at 28% breathing, and by May I was 10. I was, I think, 5 arms when the symptoms started, and now I'm like 1.7, 1.8. You realize that bulbar associates with breathing and head. Well, what did I lose first and last? My head. My speech. I mean, I still have it clearly, but it's my breathing and my head that just continues to go lower. To wrap this up, I have bulbar ALS, and we've been noticing so much equipment. Ventilators, head straps, pegs, everything. I don't have bulbar. I don't have any form of ALS, and I'm very grateful. I only have a quadriplegic injury. All I need is an electric wheelchair or manual wheelchair, and I'm pretty much fine. I don't need any head straps or anything, or pegs. My breathing is now 7, and it'll hit 6 in January of next year. You guys haven't seen an esophagus surgery in about 6 months. I just wanted to let y'all know that I kind of started postponing it from June. I can't even really remember if I had it in July. I'm sure I did. I don't know. If I did, then 4 months or 5. Maybe 4 or 5 still. So basically in July or June, my doctor started noticing that the surgery wasn't really benefiting me anymore. I have esophagus surgery due to the fact that I have a tracheostomy, and I have a bunch of scar tissue, and it can affect the way I can swallow. And I've been having a tracheostomy since January 2018, so as you can imagine, I've had over 50 of these surgeries now. But in 2025, I got it pretty consistently. I mean, I missed a few months. got back on it, missed a few months, got back on it. And it's a monthly process, by the way. Doctors started noticing that it was not benefiting me. I had the surgery in June, yet I choked in July. This is an outpatient thing. I'm supposed to go home and feel the effects maybe 2 to 4 days later. Not 2 weeks and I fucking choke. Either July, I think we stopped. And in August, I got the complete forego. I should not continue. As my breathing was going down to 7 in that month. I got a permanent head strap. I could no longer eat. My head was 0. So this one benefit me either way. I just want to tell y'all guys that I don't think I can no longer continue esophagus surgery. That's why you haven't seen one in almost half a year. Well, basically, the other thing that we wanted to talk about today was the fact that we've been getting into better habits. Essentially, the first beginning of this year, we were not doing well. Me and my wife, or specifically my wife, has been dealing with sobriety issues. So essentially she's been an alcoholic since 2020. And for years she struggled with alcoholism. She would drink at least 4 to 5 beers a day minimum. I think she stopped in August of 2023. Like, she stopped using her vape and everything in that year, and I was proud of her, but the alcohol stayed. Unfortunately, I do not understand this situation, but I've been at my best to try to understand it. I am not an alcoholic. I hardly have a beer, like a few sips of beer a week, and I'm not dependent on it. Half the time I do not have sips of beer a week. And I think it got worse after our grandma passed in November 16th. It started to get a lot worse, and I started making 3 beers a day minimum. When it was our grandma's unfortunate passing, I think it just started to get out of hand, and I started to make 3 beers a day minimum. And when I would drink 2, hey, look at me, I'm doing good, I would feel proud of that. But yet, I would drink 2 beers by, 3 p.m.? Yeah, sure, I made 2 beers by 3 p.m. Who knows how many I drink by 5? Either it was last year or this year, I had drank 6 to 7 beers in a day. That was when my wife started to get slightly worried. Like, she was thinking, well, damn, you drank 7 beers in one day. That is not good. Like, my wife kind of told me, like, I'm getting worried about this. I think maybe you should, try and ease it down a little bit. She would be happy if I just stayed at 3 beers a day. When I became a quadriplegic in 2024, that was still the year, unfortunately, that I was still drinking 6 or 5 beers, well, maybe 1 time a week. So I was averaging almost 20 beers a week. We started acknowledging this. I was like, well, we're having a little bit more issues with this. Maybe I should stop. And I tried stopping a few times in that year. I tried, and I would go one day, and I'll be like, no, let me just have at least one, but that wasn't stopping. I would have that one, but then I'd see 2 more sitting there, and then I would eventually grab them hours later. Wasn't doing good in brushing teeth. I had cavities forming, which was never an issue before. I started getting white spots in 2024. Well, that's funny. Thinking, but Doc, you're not alcoholic. You must not have any. Oh, I have. I have had many bad habits. I have interrupting's one. Not drinking enough water is one. And, not understanding people's emotions is one. And, I felt like that we've been getting tremendously better. And these are things that we've never been open about. It is the next day. We had to stop abruptly during filming. Our apologies. Yesterday was a rough day. To cut to the chase, we essentially cried. Don't worry, it was a good cry, so... everything's okay, we're fine. If you see the date or know the date of this video, it is a particularly rough time for our family. Today is the 2-year anniversary of our grandma passing away. It's just been a rough weekend. Now, we do apologize for the abrupt filming. Essentially, we don't really know what we were talking about, so we're essentially gonna say the basics of how we've been getting better. If we were on a random topic, we do apologize if you wanted to hear more. This year, we've been trying to make strides on improving our health and the habits that we had. So essentially in the beginning of 2025, my wife was struggling with sobriety issues, meaning the fact that she tried to get sober but couldn't. And then she was drinking 3 beers a day. She would average about almost over a box of beer a week. So essentially in August, my wife started working out, and she started to try to drink water. We always try to do it. We do it good for a week, and then we stop. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, so essentially I was trying to get better at, drinking water and getting better at taking my levothyroxine. I've talked about this before. Levothyroxine is my medication for hypothyroidism. That med essentially controls most of my moods, most of my emotions, my weight gain, my weight loss, everything essentially. And I have to take it daily, in the morning, on an empty stomach. And I think after my bad results in July, when I had to go back for an appointment because they were worried about my TSH levels with T3, T4, some things were high, and that could mean something bad, that my hormones are irregulated. Essentially, it wasn't a good result, and they were a little worried about that. So when I realized that I wasn't taking the greatest care of my health, and that the beer and the water, or the lack of water we were drinking, probably gave me that UTI. Water helps flush everything out more frequently. So essentially, it was a rough moment, and I think that UTI reminded us, we really need to take care of our body before it is too late, and we keep constantly having these issues. So October 23rd is when I started devoting myself, I'm going to drink 30 ounces of water every single day, whether I like it or not, and there has some days where I've reached 60 ounces of water, and I've successfully done it every single day, 15 ounces or higher. I've been keeping up for almost an entire month. My wife, she struggled with beer. She used to drink 3 beers a day. My wife has been drinking full on just 1 beer a day, limiting herself to only 1 beer a day, which, trust me, is making big strides. She's been going on it for 11 days, strictly only 1 beer a day. But for a month and a half, she's been thinking about not having a second one, if that makes sense. Also, the one, I think what we were talking about yesterday is the one that I was understanding people's emotions more and coming from their place. In September, I was working on the Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month videos, and it was just a heavy burden weight on me. I'm sure it is a month to celebrate and to be proud of that I'm still here and still living, but there also is that burden behind a lot of those emotions. That month was such a heavy month for me naturally, simply due to the fact that it was a month that my life changed forever, and I knew I wasn't going to get it back. So I started sharing these daily SCI posts. As much as I loved doing that and how fun it was to do, it was still taxing on me mentally. No matter how much I acknowledge that or not, it's always going to be taxing on me mentally. Stopping mid-editing even though I'm in the zone just to do a catheter or something, that's annoying. Stopping mid-zone to do a pressure shift, that's annoying. My wife, she's only had this life for 2 years, not even, and she can pressure shift and still edit at the same time. It's jealousy, because when I pressure shift, tilting, with my joystick, I don't really think much of it, but I have to stop editing when I do that. September, it was just a big, heavy thing. I'm like, goddamn, whenever I weight shift, I need to do this so I don't get another pressure sore like I did in October. My feet. So essentially, I do not take great care of my feet, because my feet kind of rest on my foot plate, but they're overlapping each other because my legs are paralyzed and limp. My wife's get actual room to kind of just sit there and be on a foot plate. I kind of ignored them, obviously, because I can't feel them, and then I ended up with a pressure sore on my ankle. Please know that it was not a severe one, and I did not take forever to recover. And so it took hours of non-pressure and keeping that foot up just for it to heal that quickly. And it took about 4 or 5 days to fully heal from why I didn't have to worry about not putting my natural pressure on it. Thankfully, I haven't had a pressure sore issue since then. I'm really lucky for pressure sores on my butt. I'm really diligent at weight shifting. This was me yesterday. I was literally weight shifting right there. I do a 15 to 5 or 15 to 30, where every 30 minutes I do a weight shift, and it lasts 5 minutes. October 26th, I started 9 catheters a day. Essentially, I found that on the 8th catheters a day schedule on my infusion, I had realized I'm having way too many bathroom emergencies every single time. My AD was skyrocketing and randomly tanking my body with 30 ounces of water. But once I started the 90-day catheter schedule, it's wait a minute. On the 27th, okay, I have to do 8 a day now. Let me do the 9th. Wait a minute.
I feel so much better.
I feel a lot more comfortable throughout the night. I can actually fucking last the night. After that, I could drink 30 ounces of water pretty much damn comfortably. I get my mild AD reactions 9 times a day due to the fact that I have to do that many catheters. Whether I'm Oh, my nose is a little runny, my neck's a little red. Oh, let's have to go pee. So essentially, I got that new catheter schedule, and it's been going well, so I'm glad. So essentially, we've been doing water drinking challenges, we've been cutting back our beer, and we've been brushing our teeth better, and we've been getting better at catheters, and we've been getting better at pressure issues, so we've been doing great. We have been doing wonderful. So thank you all so much for watching this weekly vlog, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.